Hi guys, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. I can see Eli on the left of the screen with his new haircut.
And so is
Looking
Jim
good,
on the right
Eli.
of my screen. He also has a new haircut. So a new
Yeah,
beginning as we get closer to September and our midway point of August.
yeah. We're August 17th, 2024, and thanks everybody for joining us, and thanks for all your support going forward. I had a new listener, Sean, yesterday. Gave some real good feedback on the show, and we thank him for joining our audience.
Absolutely.
So we jump into our monologue, of course, which is sponsored by Coriano Trucking, and this is kind of an interesting one. And like I said, I know a lot of young guys, a little bit older than you know, and they're kind of early to mid 20s. And the year that Aaron Judge is having, you know, to them, you know, they haven't seen this kind of a year from somebody in their short term,
Right.
right? So a topic came up about, you know, is Aaron Judge, you know, the greatest Yankee of all time? And I say,
No.
wait a minute,
Nope. Absolutely not. Nope.
let's hold off because Eli's going to post a quick picture here, and
Yes.
I'm gonna reference why, right? So this is just Lou Gehrig's statistics, and I could have picked Babe Ruth, I could have picked Lou Gehrig, I could have picked DiMaggio, whatever. Um, but no question about it, Aaron Judge, and I love the guy. He's a classy kid, and he's having a year for you know best year of his career, surefire MVP. And if it wasn't for Bobby Witt Jr., who's hitting 352, you could take that picture
Okay.
down, Eli. It's just an example, right? So, you know, for years and years and years, there's always been the best player in the game, and I can go back to, you know, many days, like even like Don Mattingly of the Yankees was at one point the best player in the game. Andre Dawson for the Expos was at one point, or actually the Cubs when he had an MVP season, the only player to win an MVP for a last place team, by the way. But when you look at the numbers that Aaron Judge has, they're absolutely awesome, right? He's going to hit 50 plus home runs. He's going to drive in 130 runs. But when you look at it overall, you know, he's got to, if you want to be known as the best New York Yankee, and there's so many of them with Gehrig, DiMaggio, Mantle, Mariano Rivera, Derek Jeter. So I'm saying because of the mediocrity of Major League Baseball players today, you know, I mean, if you're hitting 240, you're considered to be having a decent year. So that's why it's standing out. And no question, surefire MVP, Otani will get it in the National League. And when you look at the numbers compared to Shohei Otani, Aaron Judge's numbers are even far superior. But there's also a guy, this Jose Ramirez on the Guardians, who's hitting, you know, 281. He's got 30 plus home runs, 100 runs batted in already. So he's having a great year as well. So, you know, it's consistency over time. And when I posted the Lou Gehrig numbers, he hit for 13 straight years, had 175 RBIs, 180 plus. I mean, you look at the numbers, a 340 lifetime batting average. And I guess the younger crowd don't think that can translate to today's game. Like, you can't compare the old days to the new days. And I say, yes, you can, because you were playing, everybody was facing the same pitchers, whatever. So the numbers for Lou Gehrig or Babe Ruth or Ted Williams or whatever are staggering. And I love the fact that he's having this. I love the fact that the Yankees re-signed him. I always knew that they would. I always knew that he wanted to be a New York Yankee and post these numbers. But I would love some comments from some of our folks and our listeners. Send us an email, of course, always at sportswithmono at gmail.com, and give me your thoughts. And so right now, Aaron Judge is the best player in Major League Baseball. And like I said, you can go back in the 80s. Maybe it was Mike Schmidt for a couple of seasons. And I just say, yes, you can compare one era to the next. And right now, he's just tearing up Major League Baseball. Possibly could have won the Triple Crown, except for Bobby Witt, who's hitting 352 for the Royals. But um, what a player this guy is, and we're just not used to seeing these kind of numbers because of the way the past 20 years have been. With mediocrity and guys hitting 280 is considered a phenomenal year. But this guy, I
Yeah,
give him all the credit in the world. And yes, he's going to go down. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame at some point. But let's be fair and recognize the previous players in Major League Baseball. So I'd love to hear people's
absolutely.
comments.
But before I get to my thoughts real quickly, you do have a comment from Eric. He says, "Good morning and the best in sports talk, Mono and Mono." Thanks for
Oh, Eric.
watching, and don't forget to keep commenting on YouTube or Facebook, or you can follow us on Instagram at Sports Mono Mono or on Twitter X. And yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
Thank you,
And
Eric.
so,
We really do appreciate that. That it takes people got busy schedules, but he's right there with us 10 o'clock, and
every
next
Saturday,
Saturday be 9 o'clock. But
yes.
thank you.
So yeah,
So
programming alert for next Saturday, 9 a.m. will be live instead of 10. I'll get to
yeah,
that later on in the show. But to the Aaron Judge thoughts, is he the greatest Yankee of all time? Absolutely not. You cannot say he's the greatest of all time. Did he win a World Series yet for the New York Yankees? Yes or no? The correct answer is no. Just because he had over 300 home runs does not mean he is the greatest Yankee of all time. Is he the best player out there right now in playing in the league? For sure. But did he win a World Series? No. If you can create that type of record, have a far playoff run, and make it to the World Series or win the World Series, then to me, you're notable of being either top Yankee or top player out there. To me, I don't see that yet in him. And I mean,
and
don't
here's
get
a
me wrong. I agree. He is the number one for 300 home runs. Don't get me wrong. Congratulations. I can't do it. So good for you for doing that. But to me, that is not worthy of being the greatest Yankee of all time, nor, the best out there. Right now, for sure, you can make that case, but definitely not from there. And I could see how you can grade to the past. And I'll let you get your
yeah,
thoughts first before I get to the era situation.
yeah, and just to that point again, I know that is always the barometer of greatness of people reflecting. Like Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl, but he was one of the greatest
Right.
quarterbacks of all time.
All time.
Ted Williams, for example, one of the greatest baseball players of all time, never won a World Series with the Boston Red Sox. So, right? I don't think
I could
that should be the mark, but when you're
right.
talking about the New York Yankees, this is a little bit different because they've got 27 World Series titles, and
I'm aware of
Yogi
that.
Berra won 10, and all those things. So um,
I
he
but
is right now the best player in the game.
no question about it. But again, back to your football comment about Dan Marino. First name that comes to mind when I think of football is Tom Brady. I don't think of him. I don't think as him as the greatest quarterback out there because I think of Tom Brady because the amount of Super Bowls he won and the amount
Or
of
Joe
records he set,
Montana.
or Joe
Or Joe
Montana.
Montana.
There you go. Because that's who you think of when it comes to football. That is not the top name that comes out of my list. So to
Understand?
me, having a World Series under your belt proves to me that you are the greatest player of all time. If you can't accomplish that with your team, that's not there. Can you compare it to the eras? That was the other comment you brought up earlier. Absolutely, you can compare because at the end of the day, it's the same sport. Nothing changed except the pitch clock. That's the only thing that you could maybe compare differently between the two eras. But if not, it's the
Mhm.
same sport, same era, same greatness of players. So there is no excuse under that belt. But to me, he is great right now. He's definitely the greatest out there, but not the greatest all time. When he wins a World Series, and if he does so, then I could say, all right, we'll add into the conversation of potentially being up there for one of the greats. But for right now, I don't see it in him.
Okay, fair enough. So listen, like I said, we'd love to hear your comments on this topic because it's a topic that will never go away.
Absolutely.
And he's you did mention that he's the fastest to get to 300 home runs, passing Ralph Kiner, who was had the fastest to 300. So the guy's going to finish his career with 500 plus if he keeps up this pace. And we could talk about this. Can he get to 600? Yeah, I think that's still possible. He's still relatively young speaking, but we got to talk about you need like 7 more years like this before I could
And
put him in the
also,
same conversation as Lou
y-
Gehrig and Babe Ruth.
you need to also remember health as another factor too, before we
Sure.
can get to the 700, because Aaron Judge is known for getting injured and missing quite some time with the Yankees. I mean, so far so good this year, knock on wood. But in the
Yep.
previous years, it has not been an easy ride for Aaron Judge nor the New York Yankees. And I think that is the holdback from him for even getting to that point. I don't even see 700 as an option right now, because I
Yeah.
know that the Yankees are either going to bust in the playoffs, miss the playoffs, or not going to get to the record because it's the Yankees and injuries going to fall and play a big factor. We cannot say that this is the greatest run that the Yankees have had in a while, because it's not. You have to go back to the Jeter years and a few years back to say it. I
Yep.
mean, that's just a little
Okay.
thought I have to throw in.
Okay. Well, so we could, like I said, baseball season's getting down. What do we got? Like 40 games left, right?
Yes,
Something
we
ballpark
are
40
down to the
games.
wire. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
it's
the
it's
Mets
it's
are the
gonna be
Mets because they give up an entire lead on Thursday's game. That was an absolute joke, that game, if you're watching. And
I
yeah,
know we've seen this. We've seen this before, and it's always the snake bitten Mets kind of thing. But the way I hear people talk, the Mets when they were winning, 8 games, 9 games in a row, and they got to 7 games over 500. Um,
we have a comment from Frankie. He said, couldn't agree more. Love Judge, but who cares what he does in August? October is what matters. This bullpen won't get them far in the playoffs.
and that's Frankie. That's a very valid point because
Absolutely.
one guy or two guys in this case, because they got Juan Soto's having also a great year as well. But there are component pieces around that need to be solidified, and trade deadlines have come and gone. So this is who you're going to war with, and whether or
Absolutely.
not it's enough, because I don't think one player or two players in this case. And you know what? Garrett Cole is going to be Garrett Cole again, and he's
No
pitched it
question.
last year. So, thanks for the comment, Frankie. And like I
Absolutely.
said, this is conversation that we could have every
Well,
single day.
right. And it's going to be a debate because you're going to get that one person that's going to say different. And I'm one of those
Yeah.
persons that will agree differently.
Okay. So listen, we'll get back to baseball next week, but listen, let's jump right into the NFL. And
Yes,
um,
indeed.
we're only a few weeks away from the regular season. A lot of I got a couple of things that are
I do too.
out there when you look at the holdout situation, and we knew this was gonna happen when Justin Jefferson signed that wide receiver contract to make him the highest paid. So now you got the CD Lamb thing. You got the Cowboys dealing with not only him but Dak Prescott. And excuse me.
No worries.
And by the
We do have
way,
a comment real quick from Derek. Good morning, Jim. And good morning, Derek. And
good
thanks
morning,
for watching.
Derek. Yep. So these are the crowds that I'm talking about, and these are very, very knowledgeable sports fans. But I just want them to understand from my perspective, what the past can be compared to the present. That was my entire point. So, a couple other things with the National Football League, right? So we were talking about the holdouts, and we knew the Jefferson thing was going to be, a problem for the Cowboys and Lamb and
Right.
Jamar Chase and all these other guys. So they're going to have to work it out. One of the more interesting thing was the Jets traded for Hassan Reddick,
And he
and
requested a trade,
right because
but
he's
the
not
Jets
getting
denied it.
paid because he's not getting paid. I'm sure the deal will get done. And when you look at it, by the way, I wasn't really aware, and I watched the Eagles play a lot, and I got to be honest, Hassan Reddick didn't really jump off as this dominating player on that particular team. I guess everything gets lost with the Jalen Hurts and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But over the past 4 years, he's the only player other than Myles Garrett to have at least 10 sacks in the past 4 years.
Yeah.
So, that's a pretty impressive stat. But I'm sure this deal will get worked out, right? Most teams cave at
But it's a
some point in
confusing
time.
situation though, because he requested a trade, but the Jets said no, you can't leave, and you're going to be fined every day you don't show up. So that's the questionable thing. Like, what's going on here? It's a mismatch situation because for the Jets to make a statement and say he will be fined every day, something's up. And I don't know, with something maybe with the players or the coaching staff, but it just doesn't make sense to me how even the Jets have to release a statement that he will be fined if he misses games and practices following his announcement of trade, which has been denied by the Jets.
I know, and I've seen this 1,000 times. I mean, the fines will, whatever the contract that finally gets done with Reddick, and it will get done. They build in that fines that were levied, and they compensate them. So that's part of the collective bargaining agreement that you got to fine
Right.
these guys for holding out. But um, don't think that's going to come out of his pocket directly.
No,
So.
absolutely not.
Um,
And
but
then
I got a
another
couple. Go
big
ahead,
thing was
Eli.
JJ McCaffrey from the Vikings and
McCarthy.
preseason
Yeah.
week 1 and already out with an injury. He will be out for the rest of the season requiring surgery. And replacement Vikings did sign Matt Corral as a third quarterback. Obviously, Stafford looks like to be the top nominee following him.
Oh,
But
that's the former Old Miss quarterback. I
yes,
think. Yeah.
but still,
Right.
it's just horrible to see. Like the Vikings have really no luck, going into the season. Number one quarterback coming in and now out for the season, and we didn't even start the season yet. It's only preseason.
Well, and I know I have a conversation with a young fella named Jack Fitzpatrick, and he's a big time Vikings fan, and you know, I know what they're dealing with. If you're a Vikings fan, you got one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver. But now you have Sam Darnold, who's been recycled and recycled and recycled. So whether McCarthy was ready or not ready, I think they were going to go with Sam Darnold. But I don't think he's the quarterback that's going to take advantage of Jefferson and so forth. But the Vikings have, this guy Dallas Turner, their number one, their second number one pick in the first round from Alabama is really looking really impressive. Um, and then you see these injuries, and I've talked about this time and time again. Like, I don't even know how Drew Lock got hurt, right? But he got hurt in the first
He got hurt
preseason
somehow.
game for the Giants, right? So the injuries is always,
Always a
like the
factor in the
Buffalo
NFL.
Bills. They lost Matt Milano, who was key to their defense. Basically doing routine drills. So I don't understand how these injuries are continuously happen to these guys.
It makes no
And that's
sense.
when you want to compare eras of football, right? The early 70s and the 80s, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the San Francisco 49 and the Cowboys. Nobody got hurt.
Nobody.
They all played every single time. And now these guys are missing it. And I don't know, is it because they're too
Paid.
big or they're too athletic? I can't put my finger on it.
It's a
Um,
developing thing that we cannot figure out.
right. But here's one, and this is very personal for you and I because we've had this young fella on the show, Luke Whippler, really rising star. I actually talked to his dad yesterday, but Luke broke his leg in a preseason game against the
Oh
Packers.
wow.
So he had surgery on Tuesday. Preliminarily, they're talking about possibly 12 weeks, but if depending
Ooh.
on the healing process, this
So
could
he'll
be
be
a,
out for
a,
the
a
season.
lost season for him. So
That's rough.
hopefully we can get him on and get kind of a status update on those injuries. But you know, that's real personal for us.
Right, for
A,
sure.
because he's been on the show, and B, because I've known him since he was 2 feet tall, and now he's 6'3" and
In the
310
NFL.
pounds. So we wish him all the best in his recovery for sure.
Absolutely.
And Eli, another interesting thing that came out when and you're more versed in this area, but I saw this list about the valuations of NFL teams right now, and the Cowboys are, you know, on that number one on that list. That this franchise is worth $10 billion right now, and The Giants were up there because of the media market, of course, right? Certainly not by the performance of the past
No, absolutely not.
10
I mean,
season, right?
you could
The
look at
Rams jump ahead of them because they're playing in one of the most beautiful stadiums in the
no
country, and
question.
they're coming off a Super Bowl win and so forth. So, but look at the value of these teams. That it's just really amazing. So you have the Cowboys, the Rams, and the Giants, 1, 2, 3, and um, again, we can't talk about it enough. That the value of this franchise, how they evaluate it is based on the money and the
Right.
revenue they generate, and it's really staggering to see.
But when you think of New York, the first thing you think of a New York sports team, I'm going to clarify, and it's non-baseball. And if you exclude the Yankees and Mets, the first teams that's going to pop up your head that's not baseball related is either the Giants or the Jets because of the name. It's not going to be the Knicks or the Nets, and it can be the Rangers, the Islanders, or the New Jersey Devils. It's going to be the Giants or Jets. And Jets right now because of Aaron Rodgers. Giants because of their history. They won a Super Bowl in the most recent time period that we could think of, and it was against a legendary quarterback of Tom Brady. And also, the Giants have had that type of season. I mean, Tommy DeVito, look at him. It's just that one player that's going to spark your head. And we're like, oh, remember Tommy DeVito, that little guy with the Italian and the fingers and everything like that the Italians do, whatever. Yeah, Tommy Cutlets, exactly. That's the thing that you're gonna remember. For Dallas, I hate the Cowboys. I know that they're not gonna make it far again in the playoff run because we know that they're the Cowboys. However, the Cowboys are America's team. They are the number one team that's gonna pop up in your head. The first thing you think of football is the Cowboys, the legendary runs of the past. Will they ever make it to the Super Bowl? Probably not. I don't think so. I'm just one of those people that's gonna say no. And for the Rams, the only reason why they're popular now is because that stadium. If it ain't for the stadium, the Rams are the Rams. Because I'm a Seahawks fan. So I got to, not going to give too much hype to the Rams, but that's really what I could say about the Rams. I was like, oh, yeah, dude, don't forget the little Rams team that we have, That's just another notable thing I have to bring up.
Without Aaron Donald, by the way, now.
Right? That's true, too.
Yeah. So, but listen, you and I have to, I think maybe not next week, but the following week we do our NFL preview show.
Yes, absolutely.
And we'll make our selections and kind of lay it out because by that time we'll know who's making the teams, who got cut, who got signed, who got traded, all those kind of things. So
it'll be a
stay
great
tuned
show
for that because that's always a fun show from you and I know that.
Absolutely. And other news right now happening in the NFL: Commanders signed QB Trace McSorley. Nickelodeon will host a wild card game this year. No words on Super Bowl or any other games. Obviously, we know it's popular for the kids and everything now. Bengals extend kicker Evan McPherson contract to a 3-year, $16.5 million extension as part of the new era of kickers getting paid good money. So now we're seeing the kickers, starting to get paid this good money. Evan McPherson, the Bengals kicker, now getting a pretty good deal out in the mix. Tavon Austin officially announced his retirement from the NFL. Brandon Ayuk nearing a trade deal with the Steelers. Let's see if it goes through, though. That's the question. But it looks like now he's gearing towards the Steelers. We'll see if that comes alive. That's a big question up on the table.
Yeah.
Former Broncos safety Justin Simmons.
I'm going to say.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say Ayuk stays. He stays with.
He's going to stay in San Francisco. Yeah, he ain't going to Steelers, but it's a good possibility that he is now that more officiates are now gearing towards that area. Final news stuff. Former Broncos safety Justin Simmons signs with the Falcons for a 1-year, $8 million deal. The Giants are trading defensive tackle Jordan Phillips to the Cowboys, and the Patriots trade pass rusher Matthew Judon to the Falcons for a 3rd-round pick. So that's your NFL news.
Yeah, and that was kind of an interesting thing because he's probably the best defensive player on New England, but they're in rebuilding mode. He's also 32 years old. And all they got was a 3rd-round pick for him. So, I mean, the value there, either that's a bargain for the Falcons or, a smart business decision by the Patriots that they're meant to be seen. Yeah. Eli, I wanted you to kind of fill us in because I saw this morning. I guess, I don't know. A judge has blocked this proposed Disney and Warner Brothers streaming
Yes.
service, and this is coming up as potentially a violation of antitrust laws and monopolies and so forth. So this isn't done right because who were
Right.
the groups? So one was Verva
So
or something.
so the groups that were supposed to be involved in the venue sports was Disney, ESPN, Warner Brothers, and Fox.
Right.
Warner Brothers, by the way, is TNT and all that stuff. TNT,
Yep.
TBS, True TV, Warner and Fox, of course. But the that was supposed to be releasing on the 23rd of August this month, actually. But
Yeah.
they have posted, and I think a lot of things have to do with Fubo having rights and stuff, and having a lot of channels and stuff, and also it's really like a cheaper. I know the word cheaper is like rare to say, and it's still expensive. Don't get me wrong, but if you compare it to like Fubo and everybody else, it's decent price for considering the package amounts that you're getting. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that is the reason why I think that we are seeing a lawsuit involved. How quickly will this be solved? We don't know. I mean, it could be solved very quickly because these days everything's being dropped quickly. I mean, look at the Sunday NFL case and Sunday ticket case for the NFL. That was dropped quickly within a matter of a week. So I wouldn't be surprised this gets dropped relatively soon. So I won't have too much, not much to say there, but this could be happening. And I do know that maybe this will help factor in, but it was supposed to be Brandon Point, but I'll mention now. Adam Smith, a former YouTube VP of product management, becomes new chief product and technology officer at Disney Entertainment and ESPN. So we'll see if his input back to the input to the Disney company factors into this venue sport. So we will keep an eye on that for sure.
Yeah, I know you got your pulse on it a little bit more than I do from a detail perspective, but this is this whole story again about you and we're gonna foot the bill for this, and we're gonna have to choose
Start
one or the other, and what
right.
games do you want to watch, and
And
all
what games
kinds
you
of
don't.
things.
I
Yeah,
mean, for football right now, I mean, I have NFL Plus, and I'm watching Red Zone every week when it's on. And if I can't watch Red Zone, I'm watching the local game that's on. I'm not,
yeah.
going to go out of my way to spend more money just to watch, football week, watch highlights for the rest of your life on YouTube and within the hour.
And
So,
how and how the funny thing is how much longer are we gonna be saying a regular game like on channel 2 or channel 4 or
I mean, I'm
whatever?
already
I
saying
mean,
it's a regular game.
yeah, but those could be going by the wayside just like everything else. I mean,
Yeah, possibility. Well, we won't get to the future yet. Let's hold on and just start worrying about
I
today and
got
tomorrow.
you. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, also, so let's just stick with football because college
College
football
football.
is right around the corner, as is high school football, which I get very excited about
Absolutely.
as well. So I think the early big games, right, and these are like August 31st, which happens to be the
Next
same day
week, I
that
think.
high school football starts
Right.
here in the Northeast too. But
Right.
I think the two biggest games on the schedule right now, early games, Georgia Clemson. That should be a
Yeah.
great game.
Absolutely.
Right. So that's one of the marquee games. And another one I went through, and we're gonna have to see, how LSU bounces back by losing Jaden Daniels as the quarterback. But this kid, Garrett Nussmeier, people like him a lot. He can fit right into an LSU system that has worked for years and years and years. They produce a lot of obviously the Joe Burrows and so forth. So LSU versus USC. That's a big
And
game
their
early
brother
on
going
in the
there.
season,
Yeah.
right? So, but again, also like I said, high school football gets
Right around the
underway.
corner.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I haven't been able to reach the St. Joe's head coach,
Right.
my alma
I
mater, and I know
finally
you know,
finally got in touch with someone from St. Mary's after weeks long. And I'll be at the media day next Saturday. So that's why we're doing the
okay,
show at 9 o'clock. So I'll be doing interviews there. We'll be either live or recorded. We'll be letting everybody know about the details next Saturday. But
good,
we'll
good,
be working on that, and hopefully it's a good season. And I know the first game for St. Mary's is next Thursday, not this Thursday coming up, the following Thursday, right as
yeah,
August concludes, and it's at Pequannock. So a little travel
yeah.
over,
That's probably like the 29th or the 30th, something like
something
that.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
Okay,
Olympics
good.
also wrapped up too. We got to talk about that.
Which one?
The Olympics.
You just stole my notes right here. So I wanted to. I'm gonna turn this over to you. Give me your overall assessment of the Olympics themselves, some of the
Well,
controversies that took place, and some of the dominance in certain sports and not dominance in others.
before I get to the stuff we don't want to hear about in the anger of it, let's just be proud. The United States won 126 medals, 40 gold, 44 silver, and 42 bronze. That's a notable accomplishment right there to start
Sure,
off with.
sure.
Let's just say last week it was pretty crazy. Like I watched the men's basketball final, the gold game, and that was like watching the greatest NBA finals of all time. It really felt like it. That was one heck of a game. Watching what we just saw there was incredible. Steph Curry with 8 3-pointers of the night,
Yeah,
saying nighty night on the night, and
yeah,
17 overall in the semifinals and finals combined.
yep.
LeBron James was there. I mean, and the women's the next day took home gold as well. The soccer team for the United States won gold on Saturday, same day. I can't tell you how much that game was, the men's side. That was something I remember. I mean, looking back now to the other controversies, Jordan Childs being stripped of the bronze medal. At this point, you can't be doing this now. That has to be a day of decision before you give out those medals. The fact that you're giving out the medals and taking away that medal is a little bit crazy, if you ask me.
Yeah,
It's your
that's
medal. That's yours. That's
yep.
I should not be seeing that medal be taken away. And if you are going to do that, then award another medal. Then you should not be taking
Hmm.
away and giving it to somebody else because of a quick ruling. That was, a little unfortunate and a wrong decision by
Sure.
the Olympics. One thing I want to give out, and I was going to have it for the monologue if it was today that I had it, but why aren't coaches getting medals? Coaches deserve to get a medal. I don't see why they shouldn't be getting a medal. I mean,
I'm sure
look at
they don't. Like Steve
they
Kerr
don't get
doesn't get
medals.
a gold medal.
Nope, nobody gets a medal. No coaches who participate in the Olympics do not get a medal.
Just
Nobody,
athletes.
just the athletes. I find that
Huh.
annoying. I mean, listen, that's just me because listen, the coaches put as much time and effort in their lives in their day just to coach the team or that player. And the fact they aren't getting a medal is a little upsetting. Now, for some sports, it's understandable that you don't get a medal, but at least in the basketball sense, you need a medal. I mean, look at, if you're the one that calls the timeouts, that is a coach decision, not a player's decision. So I believe
Yeah.
they should be getting medals. That was one thing I did, get, a little annoyed about. China
Well,
gets second place in the medals and Great Britain followed by a third. Overall, fantastic Olympics. And I think the men's basketball was a highlight for me in the Olympics.
and I'm gonna kind of not challenge it, but I'm gonna give my 2 cents in this because
Go ahead.
this is an absolute all-star team, right? You
No
got
question.
the best players in the world, right? There's no it would have been a colossal failure if they didn't win the gold medal. And yeah,
No
I mean
question.
they were very close, right? And the Serbia game was close. And Steph Curry, right, who's going to go down as one of the greatest shooters. And this was his first Olympics. I'm not sure why, but it was. Um, but
Different one
yeah,
for
it
different
was
day.
it was definitely exciting, and you get to see guys like this up and coming kid, Victor Wembanyama, and so it's a great forum. But to me, I don't know. I guess maybe I'm a traditionalist, and I enjoyed the days when it was like 1976, and Bobby Knight was the head coach, and these were amateur athletes. They were college guys. So I know it's changed a little bit, but I wasn't so blown away because I kind of expected both the men's and the women's team to win the gold medal.
We
It just
expected it, but at the same time, they were challenged though. Look at the end of the game for women's basketball. It came down to, I believe, France stepping over the line, the 3-point line, and that counting as a 2 to not force overtime, allowing
yep.
U.S. to win. That game, I cannot say that the U.S. was definitely going to win because if that came down to the literal wire, for the men's side, on the other hand, yes, absolutely, we expected it, but we also expected France to give a fight. And some of us also expected the U.S. to maybe potentially slack off a little bit in that
Mm-hmm.
game. So
Yep.
that's what, I had to look at in that perspective. I mean, we are aware that Curry is one of the greatest of all time. Do I think he's better than LeBron James? 100%. I will give you that he's 100% better than LeBron James, and I think he is the GOAT of the NBA, not LeBron James. And I'll give you that as my hot take of the day.
Okay, I think a lot of people wouldn't agree with that, but
Yeah, again, NBA champions, 3-point record. What has LeBron James done?
well, he's won what
W-
four, at least four championships, right? Two with
But
Miami, one with
is
Cleveland,
that's
one with
great.
the Lakers.
But
Yeah,
did he do it consistently with one team? No, he had to travel to different teams in order to break and get that record.
I see your point.
And
I
look
see
at
your
Tom
point.
Brady. Tom Brady did it for most of his championships with New England, left for the final year or two with Tampa Bay. But he stayed and
And won a
he created
championship.
and won championship. And that's what
Yeah.
I see out of Steph Curry.
Okay.
And that's my hot take that he is the GOAT. You could go ahead and comment. And do you think Curry is the GOAT, or do you think LeBron James deserves to keep his crown of the king of the NBA? That's my hot
Yeah.
take today.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um. So one other quick things before we leave for the Olympic things, and I found, and I've always been intrigued by the track and field events. I think that is
it's exciting. Yeah,
exciting
no question.
as anything, and it was no disappointment with Noah Lyles, but also the women's track and field athletes. I mean, these are some of the most well conditioned athletes of all time, and that's there's no coaching really involved. This is
Right.
complete talent versus talent, and the track and field it's very very exciting, and I
No
really
question.
enjoy that as kind of part. The golf not so much because all it really was just another tournament. I mean,
Pretty
right?
much. I mean, it was
And
nothing more.
tennis, I viewed it in the same light. I mean, happy for Novak gets the gold and all those kind of things. So, not that his career needed any other crowning moment, but my favorite part of the Olympics was the track and field, both men
I
and
mean,
women.
yeah, it was definitely exciting. It's all too much. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's a lot. It's a
It's a
lot.
lot. I mean, they cram it in a lot in a very short time.
I got you. All right, Eli. So we covered a lot of ground so far.
And now
Let's
it's
move on.
time for random points.
Let's do our random points of interest, of course, sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut. And again, they've been with us since day one, and we appreciate that. So I got a few, and I know
I
you'll
got a lot
follow
up.
up with a few.
Yep.
So a couple things. Anson Durrance, and Anson Durrance has been the coach of the University of North Carolina women's soccer team for 45 years. He retires. 45 of those years, 21 of them, he won national championships. It's the most by any college coach in any sport in Division One history. So I had no idea that his record was so dominating in that. That's almost 50% of his career. They won a national championship. Kind of, I guess the only, you could put that sort of in the category of John Wooden and the
Right.
UCLA Bruins, right? Or Gino Oriama and University of Connecticut, or Pat Summitt at University of Tennessee. But this is quite an impressive run for that guy, and I don't think a lot of people even knew who he was.
Absolutely, for
Couple
sure.
other quick things. And again, we talk about disappointments. We talk about these athletes that consistently getting um, charged with domestic violence. And the latest one is this Mike Hall Jr., right? Number one pick for the Cleveland Browns, and just it's a horrifying story if you read the
Oh, it
details.
is.
And if it's true, can this guy be welcomed back into the league? And I don't know. So his career, which has an enormous potential because he was an outstanding player at Ohio State, actually was a teammate of Luke Whippler, by the way. As well, played in a national championship game. I just can't understand why, this stuff keeps happening. And, I at some point, I hope they take a stand. And you just can't have these kind of characters in
No,
your
you cannot.
sport. Very
Absolutely not.
disappointing.
It
Um,
is.
Another disappointing thing, and again, this is from the world of golf. And this isn't the first time that Matt Kuchar has been in the news for doing something silly. He wasn't going to win the tournament, but yet he made everybody come back so he alone could finish his hole on Monday morning. I mean, it's just like, what are you even thinking about? You're not relevant, but yet you're doing this. And I said this isn't the first
Wow.
time that he's been involved in controversy. When he won a tournament, I think he might have been in the Dominican Republic or somewhere in the Caribbean, and he had a local caddy because his caddy couldn't make it. He wins, almost over $1 million, and he pays the caddy $5,000, which it's understood caddies get at least
Unbelievable.
10% of that purse. And, that's just a bad look for him. In my eyes, he's never won
I
a
wouldn't want to do
major.
it. I wouldn't want to do
Yeah,
it. I would not be a caddy for him. Absolutely not. I don't care.
right. One other thing I'll mention, again, this Jim Harbaugh can't stay out of the news. And we knew, they're coming off winning a national championship. So
And then
the
he goes to the
talent on the
NFL.
field did that. He missed a bunch of games anyway. And now, the story just doesn't go away. And he completely, we know he left there because all this fallout was going to happen, and it happened. And now Sharon Moore, the new head coach, has got to stand there and take it. And but this Jim Harbaugh, he likes to be the news. He's like Aaron Rodgers. Instead of the Jets being the news, Aaron Rodgers is the news for the Jets. And
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
it goes on and on.
Yeah.
And I got one other one, and you and I just briefly talked about it. One of the great sports announcers of all time, Sam Rosen, announced that this will be his final season calling Ranger games. And, like I said, I've grown up watching him, and I'm listening to his games, hundreds and hundreds of times. Consummate professional, great guy, highly respected. And, unfortunately, this will be his final season for calling the Ranger games. But I wanted to let him know, and everybody else who doesn't appreciate excellence in their particular field, he was excellent in calling hockey games, just up there with your former guy, your Devils announcer, Mike Emmerich. I mean, probably the two best hockey announcers
in the
of
league,
all time.
right? Absolutely.
Yep.
He is definitely the great. Congratulations on a well-done career. I have to give him 100% respect. But that does not mean the Rangers are winning the Stanley Cup this year. That does not mean that's what you have to fight for this year. Just want to throw that out there.
Oh, I knew you were going to sneak that in.
Oh, I had to sneak that. Of course. What about
Yeah.
miss that opportunity? All right, let's get to the random points. The NBA has announced its 2024 NBA schedule. You could check out your favorite team's schedule, and the Christmas Day games have also been announced. 3 afternoon ABC games, along with 1 night and early game on ESPN. And important dates to note for this year: October 22nd will be your regular season, where it kicks off. November 12th to 17th of December will be the Emirates NBA Cup. February 14th to 16th is your 2025 All-Star Game. April 13th, the regular season ends. April 15th to 18th will be the SoFi NBA Play-In Tournament. April 19th, the NBA Playoffs presented by Google Pixel begins. And the NBA Finals presented by YouTube TV Game 1 will be on June 5th for the NBA. Other news happening: the WNBA basketball has returned following its Olympic break. New York Liberty still on top with 22 wins and 4 losses. The top games for this weekend that we need to look at is 2 games today on CBS nationally and 1 game tomorrow on ABC and NBA TV. So check out those games if you're interested. The 2025 WNBA All-Star Game will be played in Indianapolis this year, and the WNBA Finals will be slated to begin on October 10th, with the potential of 1 to 2 games on ABC, the rest on ESPN. Here are the rest. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know what's weird about this whole thing is 2 years ago, we wouldn't have spent 30 seconds talking about the WNBA, and now they're the lead story on ESPN, and we're talking about it in depth. And yes, you can contribute that to Caitlin Clark and the Angel Reese's and an abundance of talent, but it's amazing. Can they sustain itself?
Absolutely
remains to be seen. But I'm telling you, from 2 years ago to today, what a dramatic change in the audience of WNBA.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
Another popular radio station around here, WCBS 880, will be ending its all news format after 80 years very soon. That was announced this week. Yeah. Wow. The ESPN layoffs continue, and 2 impacts that have affected ESPN. just came right before the NFL season. Sam Ponder, host of Sunday NFL Countdown, and Robert Griffin III have been let go by ESPN, just shy of the NFL season kicking
Yeah,
off.
I mean, I'm not surprised by Griffin. I haven't really been impressed with him.
No,
But
but
Sam Ponder, I thought did a very good job, and they want a woman in that seat, and she's been there for years. That was kind of more of a surprise than Robert Griffin.
Robert
But
Griffin
as you
III.
as you pointed out, the cuts at ESPN just continue to happen. So
Yeah. Other news happening: Notre Dame has suspended its men's swimming program for a year after a quote by ESPN. An external review found numerous violations of the NCAA rules prohibiting gambling. So a lot of gambling happened. They've been suspended their swimming program for a year as a result.
gambling. I mean, when does this end?
And it starts with college now, with Notre
Yeah.
Dame swimming, not even football or basketball, swimming. That's sad right there. Really. All right, Marcio Pochianto has been named the new head coach of Team USA's men's national soccer team. His responsibility is to lead the team to the 2026 World Cup. That's his goal.
Yeah, I actually saw also that in the men's professional league, Landon Donovan just got the head coaching job for, was it LA or something
Yes,
like
something like
that?
that. Yep.
Something like that.
Yeah. Two other notes. For those of you in New Jersey, you got some good news to look forward to. New Jersey Transit will be offering free rides on all modes of transportation from August 26th to September 2nd. It's a fair holiday. This is part of Governor Murphy's plan to apologize for the delays that New Jersey Transit and Amtrak have been putting you guys through. And also for thank you for riding New Jersey Transit, and also a way to say, hey, we've increased the fare now. It's time for a little holiday break. And
Right.
monthly pass holders receive 25% off their September monthly pass.
Yeah, so you know what this means? That means they could ride for free and still be an hour and a half late. So whatever.
Correct. That is absolutely correct, Jim. There you go. Final news, the Harlem Globetrotters are making their residency run at the American Dream. They'll be there to the 25th. And they're actually going to be on TV tomorrow on most local stations in the area, except for New Jersey, New York. So sorry, guys. But most other stations, you could check out their website. It's called Gray Media Partners. They are in charge of most local TV stations, including ABC and like some of the local channel stations. Unfortunately, New Jersey, New York don't get any games broadcast. So unfortunately, the Harlem Globetrotters will not be live in our area, but other areas you can for sure watch the games. And I'll be there with the sports broadcasting camp to do media interviews prior to the game / after, and doing some stand-up reports, which I'll be posting on the channel within the upcoming week. And that's the Random Place for the week.
Yeah, and listen, I grew up watching the Harlem Globetrotters. It was funny, and you knew everybody on the team. I didn't even know they still existed.
But now they're getting competing with Savannah Bananas of baseball, their newest rival now, I guess you could say. So I'll see if I can get some scoops on that in terms of that matter.
That's a good comparison, actually. Boy, this Savannah Bananas thing is very creative.
And they're getting a lot more TV time. They're on True TV 5 days now for something. Yeah, for right.
Absolutely. What you got to give whoever's running the marketing for that program.
Yeah, you got to get them hands up. I mean, really.
Holy, wow, for sure.
When are they playing an American Dream? That's the question.
All right. We'll see.
Right. Let's get to movies and TV, sponsored by Vital Selections. Don't forget to scan the QR code to learn more.
Yes, and Vital Selection is our newest sponsor, as we mentioned, and President Rob Russo and I had some conversations during the week, and we thank them for their new support. And like I said, go check it out. Don't dismiss your health. This is a healthy product. So, okay. So I got a movie recommendation, and I was kind of going back in my notes, and if I did do it once, I don't think I did, because it's one of my favorite movies, and it's Jaws. And the reason that I'm bringing it up, because I had just watched it again the other night, and every time I see the movie, and I've seen it 100 times now with the closed captioning, you actually get to see some of or understand some of the dialogue that was hard to hear when the movie came out. So I think it's great, but it's an all-time classic. If I mentioned it before, it's worth mentioning again. If I didn't mention it, shame on Jim.
All right. Shame on Jim. All right. Well, I'm going to do a TV show pick, rather a game show pick. Well, this week we saw the newest millionaire on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire as Jeopardy champion Ike Barinholtz and his father Alan Barinholtz won $1 million this past week on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. The question asks, the highest value 3-letter Scrabble word is Zax, Z-A-X. What is Zax? Jim, do you know what a Zax is?
I do not know what a Zax is.
Well, you would be losing the $1 million for sure, and I sure did as well. It is a tool for cutting roof tiles, and that is the highest valued Scrabble. So that's something you learned on Sports with Mono Mono. So the recommendation here, folks, is to watch Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Wednesdays, 8 p.m. on ABC, and weekdays with Regis, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Game Show Network. Obviously, the Regis.
Well, obviously, those are reruns, right?
Those are reruns, of course, because Regis is not with us anymore. But Regis is the one who sparked Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, one of the greatest out there, and one of the best for the Walt Disney Company and ABC when it was aired.
Well, listen, if people are watching it, then enjoy it. I can't say I'll be donating any of my time to watching it.
Well, listen, I mean, you need to learn something. I mean, look, I found out that his axe is a cutting roof tile tool.
Hey, listen, so did I, and so did all of our listeners. Unless
there you go. So thanks to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, you learned today how the highest valued Scrabble word Zax is a cutting tool for roofs.
Okay, I got it.
All right, let's get to some photos.
Yeah, we got a couple of photos here, and you know, these are my 3 grandkids. They're on a trip in Mexico. I don't know where, but they're having the time of their lives. Just
Jim didn't get the invite, I guess, to go to Mexico.
No, I didn't. Grandpas rarely do.
Oh, all right.
Well. But look at the smiles on their faces, and let the other pictures, as you know, because we did our show last week from Saratoga. These were my 2 college buddies that I was visiting, and that's Jay Costello, Mike Burns. We just had a great time. It's a very special place for me. Didn't do so well at the track, but you know, like I said, I'm a small potatoes guy, and that's Jay and I at the entrance of Saratoga. Just look how beautiful the setting is there. It's really,
you know, when I first looked at it, I'll be quite honest with you, it reminded me of the entrance of Six Flags in New Jersey. I'll be quite honest with you. I didn't think it was Saratoga because the Six Flags entrance, if you ever been there, it looks something similar to that. I mean, it was my first time going, but that's just the first thing I thought. I thought you went to Six Flags. I saw the S there. I didn't see the rest of Saratoga at the bottom. I was like, oh, Jim went to Six Flags. I'm like, he's got to tell us something about that. And I saw the grandkids. I'm like, maybe he took his grandkids to Six Flags. Like, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool of Jim. Like,
but if you have the ability to zoom in, you could see over above my head. There's the sign that says Saratoga Race Course. So
yeah, I saw the bottom of it, but I saw the S and I saw your grandkids. I'm like, oh, well, maybe he took the kids to Six Flags or something, you know, like a day trip, you know.
And I have another young fella that sits next to me actually going to Saratoga for the first time this weekend, and you know, he's just gonna love it. He's gonna have a great time up there, and
that's awesome.
Because there's just, it's not just the racetrack. There are a lot of historical things. You know, obviously, the Battle of Saratoga was pivotal in the American Revolution, and the battlefield itself is spectacular. Great place. Highly recommended if you haven't been there. Go there. Okay, Eli. So let's move on to notable passings here. And you know, we've had some good weeks. We've had some bad weeks. This is kind of in between.
Bad week.
I got a couple. I'll rattle off mine. I know you have a couple as well.
Yes, I do.
From the world of sports, and one of the all-time great personalities in on the PGA Tour was Chi Rodriguez, and his name was Juan Rodriguez, but nicknamed Chi, 8-time winner on the PGA Tour, 22-time winner on the Senior Tour. He was very animated and interacted with the crowd. He was just a great character in the world of sports. And like I said, he passed away. He was 88. I thought he was 88, 30 years ago.
30 years ago, but no.
Right. Another name, Frank Selvey. And now Frank Selvey may not be a well-known name, but he was the #1 pick in the 1954 NBA draft out of Furman. But notable with him, he's 91. he once scored 100 points in a college basketball game, and the only one we ever talk about about scoring 100 points in a game is obviously the Will Chamberlain when he scored 100 points. So
Yeah.
Frank Selby, great player in college basketball, and didn't have a great NBA career, but we've seen that before. But that record, scoring 100 points in a Division I basketball game at Furman, certainly notable.
Absolutely.
Couple other names. Michael Aaron. Now, Michael Aaron, a lot of people maybe from New Jersey would know him. He was a news guy on public, Channel 13 here, which was kind of the local New Jersey station for many, many years.
Yes.
Covered all of the New Jersey politics, and well respected across, he could have gone national and so forth, but he stayed in New Jersey and considered one of the all-time greats. So
Absolutely.
He was 78 years old. And here's one for Eli, because I know you're a big game show fan, and
Yes,
you
I
just
am.
brought this up this morning.
Peter
Marshall, right?
Host of Hollywood Squares.
Hollywood Squares, 98 of all things, right?
That was a long life he had.
Right. Also, as you mentioned as well, and I certainly know his songs. You've definitely heard his song Jeopardy, and he also did a song called I think it was called the Breakup Song.
Yep.
Yeah. But Greg Kinban, it was very, very well respected in the music industry, and he was one of the guys that became popular because of MTV when it first came out. Right?
And the VMAs, I think, are happening on September 11th, right? Coming up soon. So
yeah,
another VMA popular show. Yeah. Greg
Kinn was 75. Actress Gina Rowlands, 94. I guess, well-respected actress for many, many years. I guess probably best known for her role in The Notebook, which has been remade a couple of times. But she was a well-respected actress, married to John Cassavetes, former director, and so forth. So she was a well-respected actor. And here's one other one, and I actually had something personal to refer to this. Famous Amos, Wally Famous Amos of Famous Amos cookie fame, who, by the way, started out in music and was an agent for some big acts early in his career.
Right.
I had an opportunity to meet and have a conversation with Wally Famous Amos at a women's professional tennis tournament when they held it at Ramapo College. So he became very, very successful. His cookies were great. What a nice man. I enjoyed having a conversation with him, and he passed away this week. So
absolutely. A rough week.
Yeah, a rough week for that. We get it. But
yeah,
listen,
as a reminder, next week we're live at 9 a.m., not 10. So keep in mind the program alert. We're live at 9 a.m., not 10. So just keep up the program alert reminder.
Okay, and you'll see the notices from Instagram and so forth and Facebook all week. So yeah, please note that.
A great show.
We covered a lot of stuff. Sometimes you go into it and
you think there's nothing, but there's so much. And I thought it was a long show today, and we did fantastic job as always.
We get caught on a topic and we go into someplace about that topic we didn't expect to. So but we covered a lot, and again, we couldn't thank our loyal listeners any more than we do week after week. Thank you very much. We're getting new listeners every single week, and getting great feedback. And both Eli and I got new haircuts this week, so anybody
off to a good
can comment
start
on that if they want,
Yeah, I guess so, right? Yeah, I mean, yeah.
All right, so Eli, we look forward to seeing a couple of clips of your interviews with the Harlem Globetrotters, maybe on the show next week.
Yep, and I'll be posting it right here on the YouTube channel, so keep an update and keep an eye out. So yeah, a lot to look out for this week.
All right, listen, enjoy that. I mean, like I said, you're in this broadcasting camp that's really reaping a lot of benefits, giving you a lot of exposure as well, and well deserved. But like I said, this show right now is ultra important to me, and I'm getting great feedback on the chemistry between you and I, and I'm very happy for your outside success as well.
All right, thank you, Jim. Hope everyone has a good week.
Yep, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us.
All right, have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.